What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got a bunch of new Digimon cards we need to be having a little bit of a chat about. You see, there was a video yesterday that revealed a bunch of new videos, and although bunch of new cards, and although we looked at the level 6s, we didn't really get time to take a good old look through everything. And that makes me a little bit sad, ladies and gentlemen. So I think we should probably fix that. Now, our translations today are coming from the lovely folks over at Chosugoi over on Facebook. And we might as well start off with a yellow option card, Glorious Burst. Now, this is not a cheap option card. It is a 9-cost option card, which, unless I've missed something, and if I have, let me know in the comment section, makes it the most expensive option card we've seen so far. It's one of the reasons I want to start with it. 9 cost is absolutely huge. Not only is it a gigantic cost, but it doesn't even have a security skill. If this gets flipped as a security card, nothing happens. So if you're going to give me a 9 cost option card with no security skill, it had better be over the top nuts good. For comparison, there were no option cards in New Evolution that cost more than 7. So what does it do? Well, for each yellow tamer you've got in play, you reduce the summoning cost of this card by 1. Oh. So it's not really a 9 cost. If you've got 9 tamers out, it's free. Although, let's be clear, trying to get 9 tamers out is going to be extremely difficult. But then again, we did get a 2-cost tamer in New Evolution. One I really like, that's the one that increases the power of all of your security Digimon. And we did get a free that was in the starter deck. Man, I'm tired this morning. And we did get ourselves a free cost. Well, we've actually seen it. It's coming in Ultimate Power. So there are some low-cost tamers that we can use. But I still worry just a little bit that it's still going to end up being an incredibly expensive card to play. You have been warned. But what does it do? During this turn, reduce one of your opponent's Digimon's power by 12,000. Oh. Yeah, that's why it's so expensive, ladies and gentlemen. You are literally reducing the power of one of your opponent's Digimon by 12,000. Now, to put that into a little bit of context, we have seen another yellow option card that does a very similar kind of thing, albeit nerfed quite a bit. We did over in New Evolution see Symphony number 1 Polyphony, and that was a 5 cost that reduced one of your opponent's Digimon by 7,000 power. So it's very much in line with that. And the thing is that 12,000 power will basically take out anything that isn't Omnimon. So in that regard, it is very, very good. It's very, very powerful. But it really is an extremely expensive card. If you've got lots of tamers in play and you can just randomly take out one of your opponent's level 6s, clearly it's awesome. But if you don't have lots of tamers in play, even for how good it is... Having said that, Gaia Force is an 8 cost, which just destroys one of your opponent's Digimon. And admittedly, this won't destroy anything, but there are very, very few Digimon this won't get. And then, of course, you've got all of those things like Labramon that let you draw a card every time you reduce power to 0 on a Digimon to get rid of it. Or the starter deck Patamon that gives you an extra memory under the same circumstances. So maybe it is going to be worth it. This is what I'm keeping my eye on. Very expensive, but we can fix it. And actually, we've seen good things. Having said that, Gaia Force works perfectly as a security card. This does nothing as a security card, which does make it, in the end, significantly weaker. But we've also got ourselves a Gomamon coming. Gomamon's one of these that we always get a Gomamon, so we might as well have one here. And if we start off having a little bit of a look at the stats, we got a 4 cost to play normally, 0 cost to evolve, 2,000 power, which is about right. The promo was a little bit cheaper, but a little bit weaker. The one from the starter deck was cheaper and more powerful, but was a vanilla card, and the one from New Evolution was cheaper and more powerful, and you got a memory when it was destroyed. Yeah, so that's the real test here. Is this actually any better than the one from New Evolution? Because the one from New Evolution was actually pretty gosh darn good. Well, the skill here is a non-inheritable skill. When you summon this Digimon from your hand, you reduce its summoning cost by 1 for each of your opponent's Digimon that does not have any evolution sources. So it actually does end up being a vanilla card in the end. But it could end up being free. Now, in terms of being a vanilla card, we could go back to the one from the starter deck. The one from the starter deck is a 3,000 power Digimon, and it is a 2 cost to play normally, which is very cheap for a level 3. So you've got to have 3 of your opponent's Digimon with no evolution sources before you can even consider running this Gomamon, because otherwise it is just objectively weaker and worse than the one in the starter decks. It is just not as good a card. Having said that, if you are in that position, it's really good. I mean, I told you a moment ago that there was one 7 cost option card in New Evolution, and there was, incidentally. It was Nail Crusher, and that removed all evolution sources from all of your opponent's Digimon. And if you're doing that anyway, and then playing potentially multiples of this card for free, clearly that's a very good thing. I am apprehensive. We've got plenty of cards that can remove evolution sources we've already seen in blue. We've talked about that in a bunch of videos. But it really does make me slightly wary here that if you don't get that rolling, if you're not able to get lots of your opponent's Digimon without evolution sources, then what you're really doing here is just playing a weaker version of the starter deck Gomamon, and I'm not sure I'm okay with that. This one is really going to depend on your deck. If you are playing lots of Digimon with no evolution sources, then I am totally in favour of this, by which I mean lots of Digimon that will remove evolution sources, leave your opponent with none. Then yeah, this is awesome, and I really, really like it. But there are going to be plenty of times where that doesn't happen, and I think under those circumstances, we need to be a little bit apprehensive. Speaking of Digimon that we've seen multiple times before, how about Birdramon? We got one in the starter deck, we got one in New Evolution, and now we're getting one in Ultimate Power. How does it stack up? It is exactly the same cost as both the other Birdramon we've seen before. 4 cost to play normally, 2 cost to evolve. But it comes in, it's actually been losing 1,000 power every time we see it. In the starter deck, 5,000 power. When it came over in New Evolution, 4,000 power. Ultimate Power, 3,000 power. The next one we see is going to have 2,000 power. That's going to be very weak. But is it worth playing? Well, according to Joe Sugoi here, what it does is when it is attacking a player, it gains 4,000 power. Now, we do need to differentiate here between attacking a player and attacking a resting Digimon. When you're attacking a resting Digimon, this does not get the power boost. It is only when you're attacking the player, i.e. when you're going after security cards. Well, even with the power boost, you end up at 7,000 power, which means any level 6 and a whole bunch of level 5s, if spotted as a security card when you attack, will take you down. And that makes me really nervous here. I love the 4,000 power boost. Like, clearly having a 4,000 power boost is a good thing. But you only get the power boost if you're attacking the player, and I'm not sure I'm okay with this. Remember that most of the time you're attacking the player, you're going into their security cards, you're going in blind, you don't know what you're going to come up against. So it's absolutely possible that you give yourself a 4,000 power boost and come across a 8,000 power Digimon, and then you go down anyway. And then what you just end up with is the same cost Birdramon, which is actually weaker when attacking regular Digimon. Like, if you're attacking a security, this is the best and most powerful Birdramon we've seen so far. But if you're attacking resting Digimon, it is the worst, weakest Birdramon we've seen so far. You know, the one from the starter deck might have been a vanilla, but it was just a standard 5,000, which makes it 2,000 more when you're attacking a resting Digimon, and 2,000 less when you're attacking the player. But at least you know what you're in for here, and you can take out 2, 3, 4, maybe even 1,000 power resting Digimon without worrying. I suppose really 3 and 4,000 power, 1 and 2 could be taken down by this new Birdramon. The point is, I'm not loving this. The one from New Evolution, when you played it normally, i.e. not evolved it gave one of your Digimon an extra security attack, and honestly, that's my favourite of them. I will give up the 1,000 power so that I can play it normally to give an extra security attack, because that's the kind of thing that wins your games, and I don't like this new Birdramon. I know I tend to be very enthusiastic about cards a lot of the time, but I'm just not loving this one. I like an extra power boost, but when that extra power boost is very situational, and it's when I'm going in blind and may well not be able to take advantage of it anyway, that makes me too nervous, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry. And then we need to finish off with Algomon, or Argomon, however you want to go for it. The point is, you've probably heard me talk about this Digimon before during our Ultimate Power discussions. In fact, you've probably heard me talk about it a couple of times, because we have actually seen a level 4 and a level 5 and a level 6 Argomon. Oh, yeah. And I'm willing to bet somewhere there is a level 3 Argomon that we haven't actually seen yet. Now this, incidentally, is a Digitama. So they really are going hard in on this evolution line. But the question is, I suppose, what does it do? Well, it is a Digitama, so all we've got is one inheritable skill. During your turn, when this Digimon becomes active in the active phase, gain 1 memory. Oh, that's really good. Like, really potentially over the top brokenly good. That's a phenomenal skill. This might be my favourite skill we've seen on any Digitama so far. Now, we do need to see how this interacts with some of the tamers. So, for instance, we saw the tamer back in New Evolution that if you start the turn with 1 or 2 memory, puts it up to 3. I believe you would be able to do this afterwards. It was Mimi Tachikawa, incidentally, though, the really good one, the one that everybody plays. And I can't say for definite, but I believe what would essentially happen is your turn starts, and then you go up to 3, and then the active phase. I mean, the active phase is a little bit later, right? The active phase is not the very, very first thing during your turn. So I believe the situation here would be that you essentially go up to 3, and then you get the extra here. Can't guarantee, we'll need a ruling, but I believe that's the way it would end up going. But this has got to be your green Digitama of choice. You essentially just get an extra memory at the beginning of every turn. Now, admittedly, you only get the extra memory when the Digimon that evolved from it becomes active during your active phase. So you've got to be able to rest yourself, i.e. by attacking, without actually getting destroyed, deleted. But you should be able to manipulate that quite nicely. Start taking out weak resting Digimon, for instance. And then you end up with this frankly ridiculous thing. I mean, if you manage to deploy and evolve all of these, then all of a sudden you're getting an extra 4 memory at the start of your turn. And if you're getting an extra 4 memory at the start of your turn, things are going a little bit dumb, over the top good. This strikes me as almost silly. And if we go back to Mimi Tachikawa for a little while, the combo here is ridiculous. Now remember, that's the one that basically lets you deploy a Digimon into the raising area, or hatch it, or move it from the raising area to the battle area once during your turn if you rest her. Although again, if you've got multiples of these, you can do it multiple times. And the reason this is so good is because what you really want to do as fast as you possibly can is get all of these 4 Algomon out, evolved, and into the battle area to get all the extra memory. And generally speaking, you can do this once every other turn. One turn you hatch, it's your turn. You evolve it. Next turn, you move into the battle area. The next turn, you hatch, etc. But Mimi, you hatch, you evolve, you rest her to move to the battle area. And instead of getting one of these hatched and out every other turn, you're getting one of these hatched and out every turn. And then you're getting all the extra memory. This seems like genuinely ridiculously over the top good. I mean, if we compare it to the other Digitama, the one from New Evolution, we've got Tanamon that if you evolved, you get an extra 1,000 power this turn, which is, it's fine, but it's not particularly stunning. And then we've got Fremon, that if your opponent has 2 or more rested Digimon, you get an extra 2,000 power. And bearing in mind that green is the colour that tends to rest your opponent's Digimon a lot, I get how that could end up being really good. But this is nuts. Like, this instantly becomes my favourite of all of them. And then, of course, we've got the other Argomon that generally have the download keyword that makes them easier to evolve. Although the level 5 has an evolving skill that lets you, when you attack, play a level 3 without paying the cost. That's pretty good. And then the level 6 says that for every one of your resting Digimon, you get security attack +1. Bearing in mind, download says you may rest the Digimon to reduce your evolution cost. For the level 6, you rest one to reduce by 3. For the level 5, again, it's by 3. But for the level 4, you rest one to reduce it by 2. And then it's literally free. So you're going to have lots of resting Digimon anyway. This evolution line is starting to look a little bit dumb, over the top good, and I'm starting to get a little bit excited. But make no mistake about it, I feel pretty strongly this is the best green Digitama we've seen so far, and I'm kind of all in on it. But I'd like to know what you think about all of these cards at this stage. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy. That's where we talk Digimon and other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.